all of me. Think about you, baby, gave me such a thrill. I got to have you, baby, can't get my through. I love you, baby, and I know just what to do.
Joining me is a very special guest, Canadian blues musician Russell Earl Marsland, and he's here today to talk about his work as a tribute artist. Welcome back to the show.
Thank you very much. Great to see you.
So excited.
Awesome.
But here we are at Blue Frog Studios.
Yeah.
And tell us how excited you are to be here.
It's super. Well, this place is really unique. First of all, it is designed to be a sound stage. It's a proper recording studio, audio, video entity. So it's set up exactly the way it's supposed to be if you were in a recording studio. So the best sound, the best EQs, the room is tuned to have the music that's playing. It's pretty unique, and it only seats 100 people, so it's like an intimate concert. And Pat Glover is one of the world's best sound men. He's a really, really highly respected sound man, and he's at the front of house. And of course, they stream all this live as well. They have, I think, 10 cameras or something. It's pretty wild. So it's kind of the best place to do your thing. There's 100 people just standing in front, or sitting in front of you, about 2 feet away, which is kind of a strange thing. Right? You're up there playing, and there's a guy who's like, just looking right up his nostril.
But you have that, the audience is right there. You have that connection.
Oh yeah.
So do you ever get performance anxiety?
Oh God, I think it's in the it's on my birth certificate. No, seriously, I'm only going to speak for myself. Everybody's different, but for me, this means a lot to me. This is not just something I do for fun. It's part of what keeps me alive. So I take it seriously. I take it really seriously. And sometimes about 3 o'clock in the morning is when my beginning starts. What am I going to do if I break a string? What am I going to do if my amp blows up? Do I have a second amp? What am I going to do if that one blows up? What am I going to do if I just have a senior's moment and forget where I am or what I'm doing? Like all these, you run the scenario ahead of time. And I start counting the things I have to do before I go to bed. And that actually, because I'm processing it, it wakes me up. So now, when I needed the sleep to just chill out, now I'm thinking about the various scenarios that might happen. So interesting, right?
It is.
And you start to reverse pack your gear. Okay, that thing, that strap for that guitar, those strings over there. What pedals am I using? Where's my amp? Are the cables with it? Where's my suit? Are my shoes there? I start to think about these things, and I know that as the shows get bigger, you have people that kind of do that stuff for you. And it really takes the edge off it. But as it is right now, we do everything. We drive our own gear, we set our own stuff up, we sound check our own stuff, we get our own food. There's a lot to think about. It comes with the territory, actually.
It comes, but you being prepared, it helps.
Yeah. Because I really care, and I want to be prepared. I want to make sure that I'm on my game. Because people bring their hard-earned money to come and see us do our thing, and I want to make sure they're getting what's in my heart. Because I'm sending it out there. I want to make sure that the message comes clear to them.
Yes.
That it's not just something I do.
It's your passion, your career.
It's pretty much everything, and it's not always the easiest of lives. It's. You start every month with a blank calendar. And it's interesting. It definitely builds character. Let's see.
But you wouldn't want it any other way.
Oh no, of course not.
So you
It's the way it's supposed to be.
Are doing Stevie Ray Vaughn. How does that make you feel?
Well, first of all, I feel very grateful for it because I was asked to do this show by a gentleman named Murray McVeigh, who actually became our manager. He came up with the idea. He just pulled me aside one day. He says, "I think you should consider doing this. I'll talk to you about it tomorrow." So we went and had a meeting, and he said, "Have you ever considered the possibility of doing the show?" I went, not in a million lifetimes. I love Stevie's playing and all the people that he was turned on to, you know, different styles. But I never thought about doing it because I was afraid that I would maybe not show the respect to him. You know what I mean? I just had a funny feeling about it because I'd never done one of these shows before. So talked a bit about it and talked to Stevie's record label person that was touring with him all of the years that he was out. You know, actually launched him in Canada. And I said, before I do this, I'd like to speak to you about it for kind of your permission or blessing in a way. I said, because I was having a hard time with the concept of it. And he said, well, let's talk. So we had a chat, and I explained how I felt about it, that I was excited about it, but I wanted to come from a place of respect for Stevie, and also for all the great musicians that sort of molded his style. We all had, both him and I had very, very similar taste in music, from B.B. King, Freddie King, Albert Collins, Jimi Hendrix, you know, Dick Dale, all these musicians that I grew up with and gave me the reason to want to learn how to play guitar. Found that they were very, very similar and almost spot on to Stevie stuff. So the fact that we connected on that level musically, that became a really interesting thing for me to sort of go after it, dig into a bit more. Because when a person passes, a great musician like Stevie or Janis Joplin or Prince or whoever, there's other components to that person's style, what inspired them. I remember listening to B.B. King when he was saying, you know, don't call me the king of the blues because I'm not. He said, there's another guy, you know, Mudbelly Slim, or whatever, I'm being fictitious, but there's another guy who taught me how to be inspired with the blues. And he said if you walked over to his house and banged on his door and told him that he was an inspiration to BB, BB would have said, no, there's another guy down the street here that he plays a slide with his watch, you know, that kind of thing. So it's a tipping of the hat to all these guys, which is why I did the show, because I don't try to be Stevie. I'm tuned into him heavy, really tuned into him heavy, and his influences. So when I acknowledge Stevie with his music, I'm really, I always say, tipping my hat to Freddie King and BB and Hendrix and all the great guys that came before him, because that's what Stevie would have wanted. Not to be him or copy him. I have his essence. You know, a friend of mine said, when I see you do the Stevie show, I don't think you're trying to be him, but I see you there and your music and your passion, and I feel his energy as well. So that's the biggest compliment for me, that I'm allowing them both to breathe, you know? And I think that's what finally got me to agree to start doing the shows. But they're big shoes to fill, and people expect multi-level consciousness from a guy like Stevie, because he brings it. You know, when I still talk about him like he's here, right? When he comes out on the stage, you know, it's hellfire and brimstone. He's 100 miles an hour and voice just pounding and guitar blazing, and just he leaves it all on the stage.
I heard you rehearsing. You sound very much.
I definitely have the vibe too. Again, because there was a lot of those, especially Hendrix and those great guitar players that turned myself and Stevie and all guitar players in the world onto that blues bass, raunchy, you know, psychedelic, but gentle as well, and almost a little bit on the jazzy side. So it's a real fun gig to do.
And very inspiring. You're keeping the memories alive.
Oh, that's great. I have to tell you, this is a really funny story. First shows that we did at Blue Frog, that was our very first shows about a year ago. And how Blue Frog runs their show, they say, well, we'll give you a shot to do one show and see how it sells. That's fair, right? Well, it sold quickly. They said, can you do a second show? I said, when? The same night. I go, I don't know. I didn't know even if I could pull the first one off with confidence. It's the first time, right? I was nervous and everything. So he said, okay, well, we got a second show. okay. So I talked to the band. They said, yeah, okay, we'll do it. Now, each show is 90 minutes. And then nobody else is singing. It's all full on. So I had 180 minutes in one evening for my first show. That threw me in the deep end of the pool. They said, you're going to think this is funny, but the second show is sold out. Would you consider doing a third show? I'm like, when? Like the next day. I'm like, God, I hope so. I mean, sure, why not? Turned out we ended up with 4 shows. The craziest thing was, there was a gentleman, we did like a little meet and greet thing, you know, big bearded guy, big, you know, strong, strapping, almost looked like a biker sort of guy, really sort of intimidating visual, you know. Comes up and he says, I'm really pissed off at you. Scared the hell out of me, I tell you. He said, I'm very upset, very upset. Oh my God, and there's people all standing around, we're all, you know, saying hello and thank you for coming and all that stuff. And I said, what's going on? And he says, you made me cry.
Oh.
He says, nobody makes me cry.
Wonderful.
He put his arms around me and he said, I saw Stevie 6 times and you brought him back to life. And that's the best thing you could possibly do. He said, I'm so pissed off at you because I never show my emotions. So he says, thank you. And I went, oh my God. So that's how the thing started. And how am I going to say, no, I don't want to do it anymore? Even if you get, you know, one person that remembers a time when the Stevie music was big for them, or the Hendrix music, or now BB's gone, maybe it brings him back. Maybe it brings a little bit of Prince back. You know what I mean? Like, I'm coming from a place of respect, and I think that's what's keeping me doing this.
And the audience can feel it too, and there's such a need for this type of music.
Oh God, and people coming out and being social in a space, bringing their heart and dough to come and see somebody pour their heart out. That's the best. It reminds me of when I was a kid. And I used to go to concerts when I was a kid, well, kiddish, you know, because I wanted to see what it was like to be in front of people that really knew what they were doing. Because I was dreaming to be a guitar player. You know, it's so mind-blowing to see people do that stuff 10 feet away from you, you know. There's no tricks, there's no gimmicks, nobody's playing in the background, you know. It's just you and your voice and your guitar and a band. And I'm very thankful to have this great band. Incredible. So.
Yes, well, you know, and also the music scene, has changed. We talked about that previously.
Absolutely.
But you know, as I said, there's such a need for this type of music,
Yes.
and you have such a long-standing career as a musician.
Yeah, well, it goes back to when I was pretty young. You know, maybe I think 15 was my first paid gig, and I'm 64 and 3/4.
64 and 3/4.
I'm actually in April I'll be 65, which is bizarre too because if Stevie was alive, he'd be the same age as me. So that to me has an extra pull, a polarity pull. I often think, what would Stevie be doing at my age now if he was still here? He'd be a grandpa. Maybe. Most likely, huh? So it kind of blows my mind in a way that I'm showing people the music when Stevie was in his 30s. That's like, I'm 30 some odd years older than he was when he passed away. Just like I'm I'm freezing time space in a way, a little bit. So it's a pretty unique feeling.
I have to ask you, do you have a favorite song?
Okay. That's a hard one because I like them all now for different reasons. And one of the things I discovered about Stevie's music is that almost all of his songs are love songs. You hear this raunchy, ripping guitar, and you think, man, he's going to be talking about fighting and boozing and womanizing and all that kind of stuff. You look at the lyrics, that's what blew my mind when I first got into the show. They're love songs. They're talking about his girlfriend, talking about his wife, talking about his father for inspiration, you know, that Dad was there, or that even it's all about relationships and how he was so tied to his brother, Jimmy Vaughn, who was the guitar player with the Fabulous Thunderbirds. That was Stevie's older brother. And that's what really inspired Stevie to play, his older brother. That connection, you know? So it's interesting. There's so much more if you dig in deeper. There's always more stuff behind the scenes than you originally thought. Because all these musicians, you know, start from someplace, and it's cool the different things they bring with them, you know.
Love struck baby.
Yeah. It's like, yeah, again, you know, I'm a love struck baby. He's talking about his girlfriend. He's trying to get her to go with him, you know, and be his girl. It reminds me almost like a '50s tune, you know, how they used to sing about, you know, standing on the street corner, bebopping and doing all that stuff to try to impress the girls so they could find a woman. They could be your girl, you know. Give them a ring, you know, take them to the movies, eventually have a family, you know, that kind of thing. It's the same story. I think it has a sense of innocence about it. You know, and I think that's maybe what we're missing a bit. You know, things can get pretty crazy in this world, and I kind of like the throwback of the old school emotional stuff.
It's wonderful.
Yeah.
What is next for you?
Well, there's lots of stuff. I've already done one record, and it was just a movement from my heart. And I feel like this year is the time to do another one. Because as we move forward, you know, in age and in spirit and everything, you know, there's different things to talk about. There's different emotions to sort of bring up. I think it's time. So I've already started. I got the wheels in motion. It takes time, and it takes finances, and it takes all that. The responsibility of doing a record. Once you say it, I put it out on the internet, and I went, oh God, now I'm stuck, right? Because nobody goes, hey, you know, you said you were going to do this thing, and you better get on it. So that's one of my plans.
Where do you get your inspiration from?
Life. Yeah.
I think so.
It's emotion.
I'll check it out.
It's all riding the rails of emotion. All of it is. Good stuff, bad stuff, it doesn't matter. It's all part of what gets you in the zone.
And where will you be performing next?
Well, there's I got a show in Nanaimo coming up. It's Be Nervous, a blues guest and stuff. I know we don't have much time here because we're just getting ready to go on stage, but I do have a Facebook page under Earl Mars, and I call it Earl Mars because of my father, who unfortunately passed away, and my middle name is Earl.
Yes.
So that's my dad's first name. So out of respect for him, you know, I asked if it was good. So yeah, that's, you can see that, or my website is russellmarsland.com.
Wonderful.
And there's lots of stuff coming, and I'm just thankful that you guys can be here and give us time to talk.
And
So,
thank you so much.
thank you. You're a
It's a
sweetheart.
pleasure.
Thank you so much.
We'll have you back on the show.
Awesome. Thank you.
Love my baby like the finest of wine. Been together till the end of time. She's my sweet little thing. She's my pride and joy. My sweet little baby. I'm a little boy. Like a tree, rolling like a log, shaking and a rolling, baby. That ain't all. Hey, hey, hey. Look at little sister. hey, hey.